This build has been GlowCube tested, GlowCube approved. Hey guys, it's Noodle, and I'd like to show you my Saboteur Arc Trapper League starter. This build is great for the current Incursion League as it has low gear costs, great clear, and absolutely melts bosses. The tree for this build stretches all over the Shadow, Witch, Templar, and Scion areas to get all the life and mana we can. We're also stacking crit chance, crit multi, trap damage and throwing speed, and trap modifiers like Saboteur and Master Sapper to give us extra traps. Some of the defense notables, we take acrobatics. You can take phase acrobatics as well if you feel squishy or are planning on stacking dodge. We're also going to stretch all the way to Constitution in the Scion Life Wheel so that we can grab Shaper for mana regen on the way. We'll take MOM as well as Dynamo, that is if you are going the MOM version of this build, which I am here, to give us this defensive boost of MOM while still being able to maintain our mana pool. We grab Life Nodes Discipline and Training, Cruel Preparation, Quick Recovery, Heart and Soul, Blood Drinker, Blood Siphon, and Written in Blood. Basically wherever we can get life. Some of the offense notables take Saboteur with Trap and Mind Speed before it for an extra trap, and Master Sapper for 2 extra traps and Frenzy Charge generation. You go clockwise around the trap wheel through high explosives, although if your trap throwing is fast enough you could go counterclockwise to Clever Construction to get extra trap damage. We'll also take Blast Cascade for trap crit. For crit in general, we're taking Assassination by the Saboteur node, Doomcast, and we travel down through Annihilation. As for the Ascendency, since I'm in softcore, I chose to get Chain Reaction first, going through Perfect Crime to Chain Reaction. This is because having all your traps activate at once can be really helpful for clearing large packs, even if only one outlier hits a trap. Then you would get Pyromaniac for that sweet life regen from traps, and being immune to Ignite and Shock is a nice bonus as well. Finally, I took Born in the Shadows. We now can't be blinded, and we blind enemies near us. We have a chance to blind enemies on hit, so this helps us both when we are approaching a pack and when we get stuck in one. So my order, again, was Perfect Crime, Chain Reaction, Pyromaniac, Born in the Shadows. For this build, we're going to go with Lyra for the mana regen and crit multi. The only item this build requires if you're going MOM is the Essence Worm Ring for your Wrath Aura. Otherwise, find items with lots of global crit chance, mana regen, and flat life. Finding spell and lightning damage, flat elemental damage, and crit multi will also help with your damage overall. I'm dual-wielding daggers with high crit chance, mana regen, and damage modifiers. My gloves are Shaper gloves. Ideally, these are going to be traps throw additional trap. And my amulet, chest, boots, and belt are all for flat life, mana regen, and resistances. I'm focusing a bit more on chaos resistance for this league since there are many sources of chaos damage. You can use a Tinker Skin with this build, but if you're going to use Tinker Skin, you'll want to scale more trap trigger radius on the tree. So you could take Expeditious Munitions, and there's a few other edits to the tree to help scale that radius. The order of operations for traps is traps triggered by enemy first, then traps triggered by chain reaction second. So if you have enough trap trigger radius, your radius should overlap like this Venn diagram. You will get the benefits of Tinker Skin depending on how many trigger overlaps your enemy is standing in. Just something to keep in mind. For my gem links, you can do either Arc or Lightning Spire trap in your 6 link and put the other in Shaper gloves. I have my Arc in a 5 link with trap support, throw 1 additional trap at a time, while the Lightning Spire is in the 6 link. So here are my links for that. In the gloves, it's Val Arc, Trap and Mind Damage, Cluster Traps, Added Lightning. In the 6 link chest, it is Lightning Spire Trap, Trap and Mind Damage, Increased Area of Effect, Controlled Destruction, Lightning Penetration, Added Lightning Damage. For Orb of Storms, I have Arcane Surge, Curse on Hit, and Assassin's Mark. You can use Conductivity or Elemental Weakness here. I'd recommend putting these curses into your Path of Building and seeing which one gives you the most extra damage. I'm going with Assassin's Mark for increased critical strike chance and damage. But because we're using traps, I don't get the life and mana on kill bonuses, so you can use whichever curse fits best. For cast when damage taken, I have Immortal Call, Phase Run, and Increased Duration. I have Whirling Blades, Faster Attacks, Fortify. In the other weapon, I have Decoy Totem, Val Purity of Lightning, and Val Clarity. The Val Purity of Lightning can be nice because that's going to give you a little bit of extra offensive bonus since it ignores enemies' lightning resistance. And then in the ring I have Wrath. If you're doing this not MOM, you might replace Purity of Lightning with Wrath. So a breakdown of the gameplay strategy. There are a lot of ways to set up arc traps, but this one involves Orb of Storms, Val Clarity, and Arc and Lightning Spire traps. I've seen a lot of people doing this with a Brightbeak and Shield, using charge traps instead of Orb of Storms to get more charges. Whatever you feel better suits your playstyle. I'm a fan of Whirling Blades over Shield Charge, so that's a huge driving factor for me in this. For most packs, you simply throw a couple groups of arc traps in and keep going. I like to toss down Orb of Storms next to a pack to gain Arcane Surge and also curse enemies, and then that'll give us power charges. You'll want Clarity, especially if you're going MOM, but having Val Clarity on the hotbar is nice all the time when you get chunked or you're running low on mana, like in heavy boss fights. For bosses or tough rares and uniques, you can throw down your Lightning Spire. So here I'd do Orb of Storms, about 3 Lightning Spires, and then maybe throw some arcs on top of that. Enemies like the Val Architects are actually who I primarily use Val Arc on, as it does more damage than regular Arc and still has a chance to chain through the nearby enemies. And as always, don't forget to Flask. You may need a mana flask for this setup, especially if you're MOM and haven't stacked enough mana regen to sustain your pool. I would highly recommend this build for anybody who is starting out the league, for anybody who's new. It's pretty easy to scale, and you're going to get a lot of damage. It's also particularly good in the actual league mechanics, in incursions and temples. It obliterates. So I hope this guide was helpful, and stay sane, Exile.